Hello and welcome to Smoky 957 Gaming and episode 1 of my California State playthrough. A couple of things I want to run through before we get started is, first of all and most importantly, I will not be doing this playthrough like I normally would play the NCR. I am not caring about the election process or anything else like that, but I'll show you that along the way. To start off with, am starting an intelligence agency, doing my standard research, going for the stuff I need to manufacture, and then my construction and research. As for construction itself, I have decided to set up a ring of bunkers for later on. For those of you that don't know, this is the area that I will be getting, or yourself, when you turn over to the California State. So I just wanted to create my own little internal border for now. And then production, pretty standard, nothing to talk about here. The template you will start off with, you have the NCR Rangers, which is a 8 width with recon and anti-tank. NCR Troopers, 16 width just with some recon. Militia, always the same. And then the motorized is at 16 width with a maintenance company. For this playthrough, I've decided that I'm going to be going, at least for now, pure infantry. So these 4 motorized units are now going to become NCR trooper units. Other than that, we'll be starting with the focus, a founding myth. Vault 13's hero. When Shady Sands was but a budding settlement plagued by raiders and locked in a bitter struggle for survival, it was visited by a denizen of Vault 13. Known only as the Vault Dweller, he met with Ardish, who shared their knowledge with him on his quest to replace Vault 13's faulty water chip. While the water chip from Vault 15, Shady Sands' home vault, was piled too far under rock for the Vault Dweller to recover, Ardish's kindness made the Vault Dweller feel indebted to the struggling community. When disaster struck Shady Sands and Khan raiders captured Ardish's daughter Tundi, the Vault Dweller repaid his debt 10 times over, freeing Tundi and driving the Khans from California for decades. With our run-in with the Vault Dweller's kindness and honor was a founding moment for the Republic, as without his bold assault on the Khans and freeing of Tundi, our fledgling nation would never have taken off from the ground. Over centuries after his visit, the Vault Dweller's impact on Shady Sands would morph into the settlement's founding myth. Society would ever be morphed by, but what was fundamental idea? Okay. Debts must be honored no matter the cost. Strangers must always be treated with kindness. Self-sacrifice is essential to help others. And Shady Sands outgrew revering a single figure long ago. I'm going to go for debts must be honored, mainly for the consumer good and the factories and the extra stability. Moving next on to President Tundi's legacy. The Outpost of Liberty. Over 30 years have passed since the heroes of the NCR broke the Enclave forces at Navarro, and since then mighty pioneers have poured north to tame a savage land. Under the guidance of the Brahmin barons and Andy Gomez, our people opened mines, scavenged towns, and built farms to feed a hungry republic. But not all are happy with our manifest destiny. Some tribals, unwilling to adopt NCR's enlightened guidance, resist our efforts to civilize the frontier. She settlers from San Francisco refuse to recognize the authority of Redding's Rangers, and some whisper the Brotherhood still has agents there, working against the Republic. Time will tell if any of these foes could threaten our march of liberty. The bear shall trample its foes. The Republic's golden years. Over 52 years, President Tundi led the Republic. The union of 5 states went from strength to strength. By focusing the Republic's economy and workforce on infrastructure and agriculture, California enjoyed a thriving network of trade routes and Brahmin farms. Clearing the roads, rivers, and railways paved the way for the rapid redeployment of the NCR's growing military, allowing the prompt response to threats across Southern California and reaching north towards Redding. Backed by an abundance of renewable food, thanks to created farmland and Brahmin herds, the populations of settlements, major and minor, alike exploded, further ballooned by an influx of new settlers from across Northern California and beyond. Never afraid of using underhand tactics to achieve her goals, she bullied New Reno and Vault City into joining the Republic as autonomous territories, and ordered the assault on Navarro that would shatter the enclave on the west coast. In premiership so abundant with successes and victories, Tandy's legacy has shaped every aspect of the NCR and the wider wasteland. One set of her policies saw success beyond comparison and helped the founding Shady Sands grow beyond comparison. Carefully nurturing civilian industry, clearing railways across the wastes, building forts in final locations, and cultivating arable land around settlements. Now, normally I would go for the infrastructure or the outposts, but because I'm going to go into Civil War, I want to focus on Shady Sands, also taking into note that I'm currently not building any workshops myself. Next on the list is time erodes all beauty. Stagnation at its zenith. Soon after President Tandy's passing in 2248, the new California Republic reached its zenith. Under Tandy, Shady Sands spread from the Pacific to Redding, from the Boneyard to the gates of the Mojave. Even the Golden Circle's towns fell beneath the bear, as Vault City welcomed an NCR garrison and Reno became an associated state. At home, Tandy's fierce regulation against wealthy ranchers, the so-called Brahmin barons, and rich trading monopolies ensured prosperity and support for the Republic and revived dreams of a better world. Tandy's successor, Tibet, continued the good times, and all thought the Republic's good times would last forever. But the fate of the Republic changed forever in 2253, when a caravan of 38 NCR citizens journeying from Arizona to Baker was attacked by raiders in the northern Mojave, at the time a desolate no-man's land. President Tibet, following Tandy's mold of preferring diplomacy to brute force, was slow to react to the crisis. While Tibet dithered, opportunistic senators smelled blood, most notably Wendell Pearson, who demanded military assistance for the crisis. Pearson enchanted Tibet with a promise that the bear had claws. Pearson's inauguration showed the limits of the NCR's progress. Pearson allied himself with the Brahmin barons and relied on increasingly militaristic expansionist policies to win the support of the population. As the Brahmin barons rose and the vast expansion of the military continued, the NCR started a haphazard period of stagnation fueled by baron and caravanserai money. The public entered a harsh cycle of consumerism and corruption. Sure, the Republic thrived, but it was no longer ordinary people gaining most from the growth. By 2275, much of Northern California was run from Redding by the barons themselves, benefiting from NCR protection while contributing little of their own. The NCR's territories liberated with Brotherhood assistance, a seething frontier, and the Mojave, well, as they say, the house always wins. Okay, the military complex groaned under Peterson's weight. Militaristic propaganda made the Republic cynical, and big business brought in money but hurt our politics. I'm going to go for the militaristic propaganda, as I don't really care about trade deal opinion. And now we are going for State of the Union. Crisis in California. Life in the wasteland wasn't simple, especially not for a democracy as cumbersome and problem-riddled as the NCR. After decades of decadent decline under the premiership of Peterson and Kimball, the Republic is facing a number of crises on many fronts. In the south, Dayglow faces off with raider groups along Colorado and in Baja, who threaten the blooming city's security and prosper. The Brotherhood lurks in its bunkers, and whether they will be friend or foe is too soon to tell. San Francisco, normally a friend of the Republic, pursues its own designs under the Shi. The barons continue to run roughshod over the people of Northern California. With the NCR distracted, Vault City and Navarro debate their own course. Between now and the 2278 election, the NCR will face a number of crises that it must react to. When they arise, they will be put to the Senate. Who prevails will decide the election of 2278. Democracy must prevail. And last of this group is democracy and despotism. The 2278 Senate election. The NCR may be a bit different from what you're used to. There are no chieftains, town bosses, kings, or dictators here. Our leaders are elected by the people. That's right, every state has the right to send representatives to the Hall of Congress. These representatives select the president and vice president to head the council, and it is their advice which guides the president's decisions. The Senate election of 2278 will decide ultimately who becomes the next president. President Kimball is likely to remain in office, but he faces opposition at home. My allegiance is to the Republic, to democracy. That's a bit of Obi-Wan right there. By the people, for the people, of the people. The followers are fierce opponents of Kimball and are backed by Governor Allgood Murphy. As he once put it in the speech earning his name, we must be thankful that we have no ills at home and can afford another war. There is no crime in the Republic. There is no want in the Republic. There are no children in need of schools, no sick in need of care. There are no farmers who need assistance, no neighbors who need a hand. To spend as much blood and treasure as we have, all must be good. One of Kimball's other critics is Major Hayes of Dayglow. Mocked for his old world blues, Hayes studied America's past, the days when a nation stretched from sea to shining sea, with influence extending from pole to frozen pole. Hayes opposes the war in the Mojave because the resources spent there should be spent to uplift the Republic. Indeed, Hayes is perhaps the only NCR politician who does not just respect House, but admires him. Still better than worshipping the Maxim dynasty. And now, the only route I can follow right now is one of these two. Army, or this I'm going to go for refurbish the bazaar, as once the election is over, all this here will disappear. So I want to get it all done now. Okay, my gliders are finished researching. Something I forgot to mention at the beginning of the game is the NCR's national spirits. Starting off with the Northern Frontier, which means neither myself nor the She can revoke our mutual non-aggression pact. Retooling of firearms production, which it gives a massive debuff to infantry and fire team production. The Treaty of New Vegas, negotiations about the dam's energy. We have the Vault City Garrison, which gives some income and resources. The Brotherhood Hegemony, which is another debuff to energy weapon research speed and power armor research speed and production cost. Follows the Apocalypse, that is fairly standard. There is our founding myth, repaying our debt. We have Lost Hills and NCR tension. Then we have State of the Economy, which ain't great, and the Army of the Republic. Then I want to get my first major business. This is one of my personal favorites, the Golden Gecko. Gives me extra PP gain, stability, and caps income. So gliders are done. Time to get some barrage balloons. Okay, the bazaar has been refurbished. So I want to move on with the Buster Emporium's expansion to get the research bonus for anti-tank and the arms factory. And my crowd control gear is finished. The next thing I want to research to start producing is my dynamite. Ohm's law is finished researching. Now it's time to get some combat language. We have some traders from Hawaii. Far to our west, past the hulking wrecks of oil rigs and minor military islands, lies the Isles of Hawaii. Once, according to a book we found once at least, these islands were also part of America and the home of the American Pacific Fleet. By 2077, the Pacific Fleet was a vast collection of nuclear-powered aircraft carriers, destroyers, and missile boats. Most of the fleet was in port at the start of the Great War and was wrecked by the multitude of Chinese nuclear missiles that hit the port. The tribes of these Hawaii now make a living scraping advanced components of the countless wrecks, trading for weapons and food with settlements up and down the west coast. This morning, a cluster of native traders from Hawaii arrived in our ports, offering a plethora of rare goods for a price. It's an opportunity we won't get for some kind. So we can get, come tell us war stories from your homeland, buy us some of the exotic goods for our people, or turn them away. Now I always choose whichever is lower. My war support is lower, so I will get, come tell us your war stories from your homeland. Then the bust emporium is finished, so I want to do the selection of 2275. It's best to do this as early as you can, as along in the Vault City focus tree they'll get to a point and this event will actually get bypassed. So let me do it now before it's too late. The selection of 2275 is done. Now I want to get the Shady Sands power plant to get some extra 20 energy for my nation. The Battle of the Bodega. The sleepy she town of Fusang, near the site of Old Bodega, is one of the handful that dot the coast of Navarro, and all was well there until midday 11 April 2275. On that fateful day, she insurgents attacked our tax collectors, trespassing on hard-won soil. Can we stand for this? No, of course not. We go to war. Who else can protect our citizens? To defend our people, whatever the cost may be. And the northern frontier has been changed with tensions in the frontier. Okay. All goods fury. I had no idea that things were so good, Murphy cried, in the halls of Congress, that we that we once again face a war. The Van Grassen barons in the Navarro trample the rights of tribals. They extort crops from the settlers from the Shi. They smuggle guns and drugs to Oregon. Now ask NCR soldiers to fight and die for them. Kimball waited for the cries to die down and slammed his fist on the podium. Spare me your moral condensation, Murphy. As far as I can see, it is only the Republic that takes risk for humanity. It is our rangers that crack down on cannibalism in Navarro, our merchants who sold the Shi their farming tools, and our settlers that tamed the mighty forests of the north. Some of the men fight for nothing more than the flag and their interest, but we stand by the people of Navarro and the Republic, the one society that goes out armed for right and for freedom. And we will not surrender our hard-won land so you can feel snug at home. Okay. To the Republic, home of the freedom, or a free people should not take it from others. Now what these will do is automatically complete one of these, either support President Kimball or rally Senator Allgood. Now as I said in the beginning, I'm not going to be doing, apart from one, I'm not going to be doing any of these, so I don't actually care which way it goes, but I do want to throw a bit of a spin on the works, and I want to really focus for Senator Allgood. And there we go, so that's completed. Now the Navarro crisis has kicked off, so we get to send volunteers. It used to be 10, but since 4.2 came out, we limited to 9. So I have my division ready, and I'll send them off. The way that we walk. Ardesh was not just the first president of the Republic, he was also a strong believer in the teachings of Dharma. Dharma was one of the great teachers before the war, who prophesied that mankind's greed and folly would lead to death and destruction. Only by following the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path can mankind avoid the endless horror of unchanging war. Understandably, the faith mocked as a Californian cult before the war flourished in its aftermath. Dharma's presence isn't as flashy as a ranger outpost or a crimson caravan station, but the faith makes its presence known through soup kitchens, hospitals, and its ties to the followers. For a single candle can light thousands, and the light is not decreased by being shared. Conquer anger with love and lies with truth. Alright, my barrage balloons are completed. Before I choose my next research, I want to get the Victoria Flyers Aircraft Company to help speed up the research of my motorized flight. Gang violence blooms in the hub. The hub is in some ways the epitome of the NCR's contrast. Home to the Thieves Guild and Underground, it's home to some of the richest merchants in the West. Recent economic development has attracted thousands of citizens to the city, attracted to the promise of a bright tomorrow. But not everyone can succeed. Unfortunately, the gangs have taken advantage of those who fall through the cracks and continue to grow in power. Investing in the boneyard could be a long-term benefit to the Republic. So you have a choice. Government intervention will help, which opens up a little sub-branch of the focus tree, or such is the price of progress, which basically does not. I'm going to go for government intervention will help. So because I chose Murphy, and now of this event, Kimball moves to shut down the Navarro probe. Spurred to action by a swell of public outrage in Maxon following the end of all goods truce, a bipartisan group of Maxon senators have demanded the opening of a Senate inquiry into the events that unfolded. The Senate has, of course, complied with their demand, and now a probe dominated by our supporters has begun digging for evidence the attack was started on Kimball's orders. Such a finding would surely sink his campaign, but we must act fast to find such evidence before he succeeds in shutting us down. We must move fast. Alright, the Shady Sands power plant is complete. I'm going to take this opportunity to do Major Hayes' proposal so I can get the OSI research buff. My woodworking is also finished, and I want to increase my resource gain efficiency. Okay, combat language is done. I want to get reference manual for some decryption. And with reference manual completed, it's now time to get some encryption with secret language. And that's Hayes' proposal done. Putting knowledge to work. The followers have long been the mainstay of the NCR's education system, but it is time for a change. The Republic needs to put its knowledge to work to make the world a better place. No longer will progress depend on handouts or charity. No longer shall a society of equals hew to 1,000 different goals. At Hayes' urging, Kimball and Congress passed the Californian Restoration Act to form the Office of Science and Industry. With proper funding, the Republic will continue to walk forward into a better tomorrow. To practical thought. Now, back to what I was doing previously with the Capital Fund. A little bit extra money, but mainly 2 civilian workshops. And that secret knowledge taken care of. Let me get my resistors for more research speed. Okay, dynamite is finished. The next thing I want to research that I need to produce, believe it or not, is power armor frames. And the Capital Fund is complete. I want to move on to the Centuries of Shady Sands. Just in case the worst happens, get some nice defensive bonuses. And now that Shady Sands is a little bit better defended, let me go for, yes, more arms workshops with the Ranger headquarters. A humble request. An envoy from the Shi has arrived with a request. Funding for their endeavors. It surprised many. Seldom few opportunities have arisen where it would brush paths with the Shi. No less have one of their own approached us. Rumors and stories speak of their technological prowess, a force to be reckoned with. They had bothered to step beyond their palace. and the mystical veins that seemingly cleanse the air. These legacies strike interest in many and fear in others. Perhaps the she can make greater friends than foes. Fortune favors the generous. So I've got plenty of money. They can have 15,000. And time to get one more major business. I will be going with lock and load, so I can get some extra soft attack and resist speed for my ballistic weapons. I won't be doing many more of these advisors until after I form the Californian State, as I'm not sure which ones I will keep and which ones I will lose. Alright, my Ranger headquarters have been built. I do not want to get... Oh no, I want some building slots. Let me do the Department of Railways. With work camps completed, it's time for me to go for work as needed for more population, factories, and factory output. Alright, with the Department of Railways finished, I don't want to set up a trade route with Sac City. Instead, I want to move on to the left side of the tree and deploy troops, federal troops, to the hub. And the Navarro crisis is now over. Victory in Navarro. The She, the Brotherhood, and the Tribals all did their best to crush the NCR, but now we're finally ensconced in the Navarro territory. We have proven once again that the bear never gives up his territory. Moreover, the conflict gave us the opportunity to cement the Republic's control over the region, strengthening our army. A victory for democracy, for the Republic. So remove all that stuff, and I know we'll be getting a few extra units, which I'll convert to my template. Here we are here. 9 divisions, that's pretty nice. I'm going to make them all NCR troopers and add them to my army straight away. Okay, Vault City expels the garrison. First Citizen Lynette expelled our garrison, and our troops have been politely but firmly escorted back to the NCR through Reno. This is an insult to the bear, but given our preoccupation in the Mojave, where Vegas glitters on the horizon, perhaps this is for the best. What do we really need Vault City for? Something before I carry on. I noticed that my construction has gone down to 0. That is because we have State of the Economy adding 21 and Complacent Hegemony adding 35%, so it's a total of 56% to our consumer goods, and I had no event for it. We'll have to sort it out. Here's the economic policy here. I can't remove it. I have to figure that out as soon as we can so we can finish building what needs to be built. So my motorized flight has finished researching. I'm going to jump the biplane and get straight to the triplane attacker. Alright, I've deployed federal troopers to the hub. So to try help with my construction problems, I'm going to authorize raids on the gang's headquarters. And Congress has retained confidence in President Kimball. President Kimball's forceful defense of the Republic carried the day. Given the threat of raid against California, only a firm hand can guard the Republic, and Kimball's victory will remind all not to tread on the bear. President Kimball's agenda has been vindicated. Okay, that's that. Alright, my resistors have been researched. Now I want to move on to smoke signals. Alright, so the raids on the gang headquarters has been authorized. Now, normally, I would now start this part of the focus tree here, or if this part of the focus tree here, but since I'm not doing any of this, I'm going to finish off 2 more focuses here before I move on to my army. So firstly, let me cultivate the National Guard to get some more army experience. Alright, I've researched my power armor frame, So now I'm going to continue with what I'd normally start with, is warrior training. And my National Guard has been cultivated. So the last thing to do on this side of the tree is the public library, so I can get some more political power and a 36% bonus to basic technology. Work as needed is completed. So now I'm going to improvise tools, and I'll be able to get a little bit of research bonus from the OSI policy that I have. Alright, the public library is completed. So I'm now going to move over to this side of the world and start the Bears Roar, more army experience. And also I would like to show how I give out some citations. It's pretty easy. I always give one of each. Unfortunately, they did not no one distinguished themselves enough to get multiple medals. And then I want to promote one of them to be a division leader. So I'm going to go with Brigadier Harrison Edith. So I'll promote 42 command power. And the weird thing is, you have to go all the way out to go back in, and you can add them on. Smoke signals have been researched. Now let me use the bonus not on what I'd normally go on. I'll use it on vacuum tubes. Will be the most effective there. Alright, my warrior training has been finished. The next research is going to be on healing powder. Not going to spend more army experience on that. And talking of warriors, I'm going to be moving 2 of my divisions over here to the Mojave to help the Mojave territories in the upcoming Operation Sunburst that should be kicking off in about a month or so. Thankfully, I did move my troops when I could. It was about a few days afterwards. Someone must have kicked off Operation Sunburst early, but thankfully they got there in time. Even if they can't do much fighting, at least they can help hold the line. But the Bears Roar is finished, and I'm going to be doing all of these. Don't get used to having General Mossman and Big Jim Marshall as unit leaders. When we split to the California State, they're going to go. So I will right now start off with standard arms for superb people. And so the siege of Hidden Valley is over. After days of siege, relentless fighting, Hidden Valley has fallen. Mojave Territories is able to take Hidden Valley, though pockets of resistance still exist. The Mojave chapter shall be remembered in history books for its defense of Hidden Valley. Though fruitless in the end, they stood against giants. Fighting to the last man, it was unsure if this victory was truly a victory for Mojave Territories. Was it worth the price that was paid in blood for this land? Soon this war must end. Fortunately not. And finally, my triplane attacker has finished being researched. Now I'm going to research the biplane fighter and start production of my CAS aircraft. Standard arms for superb people has been completed. I've decided for this one I want to go for Mossman's army. I just prefer the stats I'm going to get for this run more than mechanized bull. So Mossman's army it is. Alright, improvised tools is finished researching, so I'm going to go back down to the bottom of the list to get clay working for my construction speed, as I have 2 factories back on construction, so I want to try boost them as much as I can. So that's heating powder research now for another personal favorite of mine, logistic companies. Again, I'm not spending the army experience until I can upgrade my templates later on. Alright, with suicide tools finished upgrading, I have the intelligence agency I am planning on using. I've gone all out on watch out for spies, as always, anti-bosses and all out as well, and suicide pools just in case I do plan on using my operatives externally, but they will primarily be used to bring down resistance when the time comes. Right, Mossman's army is finished. I'm going to move on to Big Jim's army as well. Remember, these two unit leaders, don't get used to having them around. I'm not going to even bother attaching them to any of my units. So with logistic companies level 1 finished, I have researched everything, all the army equipment I want to produce right now. So it's time to upgrade, and the quickest one will be additional plating for my right control gear. Right, that's vacuum tubes, which is one I jumped ahead compared to what I normally do. So back to what I normally, and some more decryption. Alright, Big Jim's army is done. Going to move all the way back to this side with the gun runner deal, which will give me a nice improvement of my infantry and fire team production, as I still believe I'm affected by the Brotherhood. No, where is it? Here we go, refitting firearms, yes. Alright, decode signal is finished. Now to encrypt my signals. Right, gunrunner deal is completed. Next, this is giving me Old World armor, which we'll have a look at now. My next focus will be the new Ranger Corps, which will raise my Special Forces cap by 25. Old World armor, let's do it manually. Old World armor is a Californian buff that gives me, or all these units, plus 10 attack and defense in an urban area. Right, code and signals level 2 is finished. Go straight onto primitive radio. Right, that's my biplane fighter completed. I'm going to do carbine struts, as I'm not sure if I'm going to do my transport aircraft now or later. Haven't decided yet. Alright, I finished researching additional plating, so next I'm going to move on to researching militia training for extra fire defense on all my frontline platoons. Alright, the new Ranger Corps has finished. Now for the last focus for this episode will be infantry drills, which will add the technology gym drills. Alright, does she want to join us? She has petitioned to join our alliance. How do we respond? You know what, I want to go with welcome aboard. And she state has joined the NCR. Right, clay working is finished, so I'm going to get dedicated equipment for research gain efficiency, as just like why I didn't take the mechanized bull in the focus tree, when I change over to the Californian State, I'm going to be losing a lot of manpower and a lot of resources. And there we go, infantry drills is completed, which gives us gym drills. I will have a look at that now and show you what it is. Gym drills is infantry, defense, soft attack and hard attack all gets plus 5%. Well, there you go. That is the end of this episode. That's quite a different playthrough that you might have seen of the NCR, but I believe this is the best way to form the best Californian state. But once again, thank you all very much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next episode. Goodbye.